Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So man, did this throw off stuff that I wanted to talk about today. This is actually some pretty crazy news, and you guys probably saw from the title here, but Melissa McBride is not going to be a part of the Daryl and Carol spinoff, or I guess it's not going to be a Daryl and Carol spinoff anymore. It's going to be just a Daryl spinoff, which I'm actually really excited about, and I'll explain why. But we do have some confirmation now that Melissa McBride is no longer going to be attached to this project. She's not going to be a part of this spinoff anymore. And so the fate of Carol, I guess, in the final season here is going to be a little worrisome, though I do think overall she's going to be fine. But yeah, we'll get into that as well. So obviously, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. There's going to be a lot more to talk about regarding this idea here. I already have something else that I want to talk about in a separate video regarding this, but first obviously we'll just kind of react to like the news here and stuff. So I will say this actually makes the Daryl and Carol spinoff, or I keep saying Daryl and Carol, it's the Daryl spinoff now. It does actually make it a lot more exciting because we did get some new details here. Because like I said before, the Daryl and Carol spinoff, like what I previously thought or was going to be that, it seemed exciting because I knew they were going to be searching for Rick, but I wasn't excited at the idea of them just, in the woods looking for Rick doing this and that. Like I didn't know, what the setting would actually be for the Daryl and Carol show. And so I was excited for it because Daryl and Carol, but I also kind of felt like, I don't know, I think it's going to be good. Angela Kang's doing it, so it's going to be exciting, but like it doesn't have what Isle of the Dead has, right? Which that's the Maggie and Negan spinoff. It doesn't have the setting of New York City, which is really exciting. But the new details that we have here is that it seems like the Daryl and Carol spinoff, the Daryl spinoff now, is going to be set and filmed in Europe this summer, and it's going to premiere next year. So that, first of all, right there really throws me off in terms of what show is coming out first, because I figured that they were really far behind in production, and the Isle of the Dead was just further along, so that was probably going to premiere in like the spring or whatever, February, April, or I would say of 2023. But now I'm a little thrown off because of this here. But anyways, let's get into the announcement here. So this is from Variety. I'll leave a link to the article down below if you want to read the full thing here. But it does say Melissa McBride is no longer going to star in a Daryl/Carol Walking Dead spinoff at AMC, Variety has confirmed. And so you actually get into the quote here. It says, Melissa McBride has given life to one of the most interesting, real, human, and popular characters in the Walking Dead universe, AMC said in a statement. Unfortunately, she is no longer able to participate in the previously announced spin-off focused on the Daryl Dixon and Carol Pelletier characters, which will be set and filmed in Europe this summer and premiere next year. Relocating to Europe became logistically untenable for Melissa at this time. We know fans will be disappointed by this news, but the Walking Dead universe continues to grow and expand in interesting ways, and we very much hope to see Carol again in the near future. So that seems to be the reason why. It seems to be that Melissa McBride just didn't want to move to Europe to film this. And obviously that's her own personal choice, and I completely support it. I completely understand that. Personally for me, if they wanted me to move somewhere just completely different, if I already have my life just really set in a certain place, it's hard to do that. Honestly, it's really hard to do that. And it depends on where people are in their lives. People are in different places in their lives. And for Norman Reedus, it was just much more doable to do something like that, right? Whereas with Melissa McBride, she just didn't want to do it. And maybe originally, when it does seem like that, like when they originally had the idea to do the show, it was going to be somewhere here in, it was going to be in America. That's obviously not the case anymore. And I think they really wanted to change it to Europe to make it a little more exciting. And I think they probably just kind of wrestled a little bit with Melissa McBride on the idea. And then she was just like, I can't, so I'm just not going to be able to be involved, which obviously does suck for her. It sucks for everybody in general, right? Obviously you want Melissa McBride to be a part of something like this, but I don't think it's the end for that character, obviously. I mean, just at the end there, it says, we very much hope to see Carol again in the near future. That right there basically, I think, says that Carol is going to survive the show. It's just going to be, when do we see her after that? So when The Walking Dead ends later this year, that's going to be goodbye to Carol for, a few years. I don't know when we're going to see her again. Is it going to be in season 2 or 3? Like if the issue is going to Europe, and if the Daryl show is filmed there for I don't know how long, like she's not going to go there, right? So she might be involved in something else. Maybe she makes an appearance in the Maggie and Negan spinoff, or I don't know. I will say I would love a Carol and Michonne spinoff, right? I think that could be a lot of fun. I think you could do so much there with those two characters. But yeah, this is crazy news. This is really interesting news. I mean, obviously there were rumors about this before, and I just kind of brushed it off. I will say the thing about these rumors that kind of stuck with me a little bit, like just a little bit, was the fact that people were saying that they could, be changing filming locations. And I was like, what, that's an interesting idea, because if they are doing that, like there seemed to be a pause in like pre-production. It seemed like, things were good to go. And obviously you couldn't do a lot because you're still focused on The Walking Dead. Angela Kang is the showrunner for the Daryl spinoff, right? So it just kind of seemed like any progression story-wise or pre-production-wise on that show, wasn't going to be able to really advance as much as Isle of the Dead because Angela Kang's so busy with the original show, The Walking Dead. But there just seemed to be some sort of pause in the last few months, and it just seemed to be a little too quiet, and little things would change here and there. And when I saw the rumor of, the fact that they want to change locations, that's a little different. Some people, if you're saying, well, it's because they're going to kill the character off, or Melissa McBride just doesn't want to be a part of The Walking Dead anymore, she's just done. When I hear stuff like that, I'm like, okay, that's just complete bull. Like, that's not the case at all. So that's why I could ignore that. But the relocation thing was like, there could be something to this. Like, there actually could be something to this. And in the end, that ended up being the issue. She didn't want to go to Europe to film this thing. So, in terms of Melissa McBride not being a part of this, that does really suck. But I actually think that things could get really good here. I think it could actually be a benefit to the Daryl show. And the reason is because you can do different things with Daryl now, and I'm not taking a shot at Carol at all, the character at all. I'm really not at all. It's just when you have Daryl and Carol together, there's a certain dynamic between the two that just doesn't really ever go away. And you can't further advance Daryl because Carol's there, or you can't further advance Carol because Daryl's there, right? It works both ways. It's like with those two characters, when they're on screen together, there's just something about the fact that, like, I don't know, you can't change that relationship anymore. The relationship is basically just kind of what it is. I mean, I guess they got into an argument recently about some stuff, but it's still like, I don't know. There's just something more exciting about Daryl being on his own in Europe, running into new people, meeting just new people in general who could become fan favorites. That just seems a lot more exciting. It just seems like, like, think about it. A Daryl spinoff, we're focusing on Daryl the entire time, right? Like, we're going to be watching Daryl trying to survive in Europe. And what's in Europe? Running zombies. This is exactly why they're doing this here. The running zombies, like, the fact that it's based in Europe, like, that just confirms it right there. Running zombies will be a thing in the Daryl spinoff. I want to know more about what it's going to be called now. I'm really excited about that. Probably something with the dead in it, I'm assuming, just because, I mean, it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. It really depends. I mean, they could just call it Daryl or Daryl Dixon, or like just Dixon, right? Like, they could easily call it something like that. The Walking Dead Daryl or Daryl Dixon or something like that. Like, they could easily go with a very simple name for that, just because it's literally just that one character. And so what does this tell us in general about everything, right? First of all, they're filming this summer. So that, what show's coming out first now, the Daryl spinoff or Isle of the Dead? I have no idea. Originally I thought Isle of the Dead would be coming out next spring. The Daryl show would film either early next spring or like later this fall or whatever. And then, come out, I guess, in the fall of next year. But they're both basically filming at the same time. It is possible that the Daryl show has more episodes. So maybe if it does have more episodes, like say it's 10 episodes instead of 6, then maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're planning with that, but yeah, like for sure both shows are happening. And I will say it is hilarious. Like, the people who think that the spinoffs are just made up just because they're going to be really ending The Walking Dead, later on this year. And there's nothing else, just like Robert Kirkman's comics. And I've said it from the beginning, like, that's Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman does those things. AMC doesn't do those things. It's so different announcing a show and doing all of that. Like, Robert Kirkman was the reason for that. He's always done things like that. If you've been a fan of the comics from like day one, like, he's always done things like this where he's just messed with the fans so much. Like, you think this is going to lead to this thing, and then it ends up not leading to it at all, or whatever, right? Like, it's such a Robert Kirkman thing to do. It's his own thing, and he did it in the comic. It was a lot of fun. It was exciting. It kept everything fresh. I think for the television show, it's very different. It's such a different dynamic. So yeah, that's why I've never believed that. And I just think it's hilarious that people actually think that these spinoffs were fake. And obviously today, I hope that puts all that to rest, because this is like a legit update here. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where they're going to be going here. There's a lot that they can actually do here with the story. And so I want to talk about that in a separate video. I will do that after this one, where I'm going to talk about the Daryl being in Europe and why he's there, and then Isle of the Dead and why Maggie and Negan are going to Europe, because that's 3 of the core characters or core cast characters going to other places other than Alexandria. And so why? Obviously, it's Rick related, right? So anyways, before we get into that, I'll end this video here, get to work on that, and that should be up within a couple of hours, so stay tuned for that. Make sure to be a subscriber if you do want more Walking Dead content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.